Hello, my name is Kevin Hernandez. In Hartford, a lot of people have not much to do. There's a lot of poverty, a lot of crime. A lot of people feel like they have no purpose, like there's no real reason for them to be existing. I grew up in this particular neighborhood called Dutch Point, and it was located in one of like the worst sides of Hartford. Part of the reason why that I'm doing well now is because of very specific things that happened when I was younger. One thing is like the introduction that I had to hip hop music. I remember one of the first CDs that I received was from my friend Oscar, and it was a bootleg version of Late Registration. That album had a lot of moving content in it. Songs like Touch the Sky, Heard Him Say, Hey Mama, Diamonds from Sierra Leone. In their construction, they're really good, but there was something else to them, content that was important, that I felt like it transported me to some other state. So like I remember listening to this album, feeling like there's something different about it, or there's something that feels like it's more than just music. It's like a person trying to send out a message to an audience, and I felt like I was specific in that audience. And when I heard the album, I didn't know too much about you, but I researched more about you, and I found out that you like also went to art school, and eventually you dropped out. But I like found out that you were first a producer, and that later you became a rapper, and throughout that people weren't really taking you seriously. You know, they thought that you should stick with producing when you thought you should be rapping, but really you weren't any of that. You know, you're an artist making work or trying to get your foot in the door somewhere. I think that's really interesting, you know, like trying to prove people wrong or trying to prove something. There's a certain pursuit there that I think I picked up on when I was younger. I realized that you weren't letting the forces around you hinder you. I know that you came from Chicago, and it's pretty similar to Hartford. There's a lot of gang shootings and stuff. It's not as limited as it feels like. I didn't feel limited, you know. I felt like your music, it talked about transcendence, and you're just trying to create things, and I felt like that was really inspiring to me. I kind of saw you as like a mentor very early on, because I saw how you're kind of like this postmodern, like Renaissance man. I felt like I wanted to follow in that footstep. So I remember doing graffiti and having like a crew, and in this crew we were collaborating a lot, and we would trade ideas and perspectives, but we were also sure to have our own idiosyncratic kind of take on how we were producing things and what we were interested in. We were not just doing the same thing, we just were aware that we wanted to progress in this particular avenue. I remember like just really understanding the things that you were doing, mixing things together. You know, you were mixing high culture aesthetics with low culture aesthetics, and talking about like inner city life mixed with high culture things, and sort of having this jarring contradiction in there, and how that became something that a lot of people started biting and started riffing off of, like a trendsetter, you know, but just by being someone who didn't try to fit in. And I felt like I never really fit in. I was always like short. I was always in among people who were too hood for me, or people who were too white for me, and never really feeling like I fit anywhere. But then I would listen to your stuff, or just like watch your interviews, or your Runaway movie, or things like that, and really feeling like you were maybe a person who expressed the eclecticism that was present in the internet. You had a whole bunch of different inspirations. By the time that I picked up on all of that and started actually looking at a lot of different people. I felt like my mantra was open-mindedness, trying to really not fit in. I could say also there's specific things that I learned from you. I mean, like as I said, eclecticism or an appreciation for a lot of different things. Your process, you'd make a lot of different versions of the same song and make sure that it's like the best thing. Like you also traversed forms. You were doing music, but you also was doing video, directing, making clothing. I feel like when I grew up in Hartford, I didn't really have much room to mess up. And it doesn't mean that failure wasn't present, but just the fact that you're really trying to not let things exist in a way that's not at the best that it can be. When I was younger, I would compare myself to greats. I wouldn't compare myself to the kid that's my age. I try to be better than everyone who's amazing. People who had 10 years, 20 years crafting their things and they know what they're doing. To compare yourself to the people who really have figured it out, that's very vital in getting me to where I am now. Your amount of confidence is amazing. To make stuff and then to have the confidence to say like, this is the best thing that I can give you, even if you agree with it or not, is very important. Because then it's all idiosyncratic. It's all coming from what you think is authentic, not what you are contriving to get people to buy this or that. And I'm sure you've done that at some points, you know. I mean, you can't be that successful and not do that, but you were really getting at things that you thought were important, that this is great work, probably the best work they're going to see. I also adopted a lot of skepticism towards conventions. The fact that you didn't prescribe to be a rapper or a producer or whatever the fuck, that maybe you subscribe to be an artist, and I think that's something that I held close to me, to question everything. Those things led to understanding like philosophy, psychology, semiotics, and I think it's helped me understand who I am and understand also that I don't have to define myself in the way that everyone is okay with defining themselves. You know, I can just be existing. What's really weird is that I never actually met you. I've only seen video and recordings and images of you. You've never spoken to me. You never actually said anything to me. I'd say like the reason for me to make this video is to equalize that, for me to make something that maybe you could see how you've affected me. I'm just trying to let you know that I exist, you know, that I'm here.